Booom podcast. Here are your hosts, Jonfern and Vargy.
Welcome, pussy lickers, to the Booom podcast. My name is Jonfern, and welcome. Unfortunately, once again, Vargy couldn't make it to the podcast tonight. He's taking his date out to Chuck E. Cheese's tonight. So, we have a very special guest coming in to co-host with me tonight. I'm very excited to introduce this guy. This guy's a party animal. Whenever this guy comes around, you know it's a good time. So that's why I'm very excited to have him here tonight. Everybody, please welcome Cowboy Clay.
Hey, thanks everybody. Hey, how's it going, John? Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. You know, what's up with Michael taking his dates to boomers? What the hell's that all about, goddammit? What is he, 12? What you gotta do, if you really want a woman, you gotta take her out to a nice steakhouse, Michael. You gotta get a nice juicy ribeye, and you gotta wash it down with some damn American whiskey. If you wanna be knocking boots at the end of the night, you gotta be doing stuff like that. Can't be going down freaking boomers and freaking Chuck E. Cheese's. What the hell are you, 12? Come on now, son, grow up. This is ridiculous. You gotta go to boomers, you're gonna trade your tickets in, you're gonna get one of those Chinese finger traps. What the hell? The only thing I'm getting my finger stuck in is a woman's. Oh, easy there, Cowboy Clay. Let's move on to the next episode here. So, week 9 NFL matchup is today's episode. We're gonna go over the week 9 NFL matchups. We're gonna cover the injuries. We're gonna talk about the fantasy matchup recaps, and then we're gonna cover the call your shot. The week 10 look ahead is gonna be the last thing we're gonna cover. So first up here is gonna be the last week's NFL recap. First matchup we're gonna talk about is the Bears and Dolphins. Now, to help me talk about the Bears, I'm gonna introduce this man here, flew in all the way from Chicago. He's a member of the Papa's Hells Angels Fresno chapter. Please welcome Mike.
Papa's Angels!
Welcome, Mike. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me over, John.
Hey,
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Let's take a shot for that here.
Perfect.
All right. So, on Sunday, the score was Bears 32, Dolphins 35. The Bears looked good. I mean, they put up a lot of points.
Thank you.
Justin Fields specifically looked really good. He's been the number 1 fantasy quarterback over the last 3 weeks. I know you really didn't like this guy. I always talk to you about Justin Fields. Have your feelings changed the last couple of weeks throughout his performance?
Honestly, yes. The last few weeks, he's kind of opened my eyes. He has been putting up some serious numbers with fantasy. However, people seem to neglect that most of his points are coming on the ground. He set the record. He beat Michael Vick's record. Last week against the Dolphins, he had a phenomenal 60-yard plus run in the first half, I believe, of the game. Now, he is becoming very elusive in the pocket, so he's very difficult, and teams have to strategize more and actually putting spies on the field to corral him, which is still not effective as their plays are changing as well. I do want to see that trend continue, but I'm still a little alarmed and concerned that he's still having difficulty sitting in the pocket and picking teams around. Could you imagine the impact he would have and how many points he would put up for anyone who owns him in the fantasy if he was able to run around, but also kill you in the pocket, because he becomes a true dual threat quarterback, such as Lamar Jackson, who's in recent years was pretty much a runner, but look at him now. I'm just concerned Fields turns into a Michael Vick that would rely too much on his legs and never became that true pocket passer.
Right, 15 rushes for 178 yards and 1 touchdown. And 123 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. He absolutely killed it. But for besides Justin Fields, who else can you trust on this offense?
Well, the Bears obviously have the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL. They essentially have a 3-headed monster, right? With Montgomery, former 3rd-round pick out of Iowa, Herbert, former 5th-round pick out of Virginia Tech, and then obviously Fields that we just mentioned. Now, between that 3-headed monster, they're dominating, and occasionally they'll throw in a few runs with receivers, Mooney, even the tight end Komet. They had a few specialized runs with them, but they are contributors. However, when you rely too much on the run, obviously the Dolphins did do it, but it wasn't that effective. They're stacking the box with 8, sometimes even 9 in the box, And I do feel that Mooney hasn't really gotten going. Now, Komet showed.
Yeah.
He looked impressive. They also got another weapon that we're going to touch on in a moment. But I do feel that Mooney and the receiving core is a little suspect after Mooney before the addition. But other than that, I do feel the Bears are a little suspect, and obviously the really good teams that are very strong defensively will find a way to stop Justin Fields and that Russian attack. They will eventually force the Bears to throw.
Now you kind of hinted to it earlier. So they just made a trade to get us to. They traded a second-round pick to the Steelers to get Chase Claypool. He ended up with 2 catches for 13 yards. How do you think this trade will play out? Do you think you guys will benefit from this trade?
I do think they'll benefit. I was a little irked that they actually gave up their own second-round pick because they had recently acquired a second-round pick in the Roquan Smith trade, which obviously I think everyone would agree that the Bears most likely will finish up higher in the draft order than the Ravens based on what we're seeing. So I was a little bummed that the Bears gave up their own personal second-round pick instead of the one they picked up from the Roquan Smith trade. However, with that being said, Claypool has been a little bit on the downfall. Last year, he came on the scene hot, his rookie year.
Yeah.
But if you look at his numbers, they've been diminishing. In defense of him this year, Trubisky, former Bear, and Pickett haven't really been slinging the apple like, say, a young Roethlisberger would, right? So I do like the move. I like the size. He's a Notre Dame receiver. If you look at him, he's just so imposing. But I really would like to see him take it to the next level. I do look in the future for free agent market. I think it's a little down for the receiving core, so it is a gamble on the Bears to give a second-round pick when we're obviously rebuilding and picks are extremely critical. However, if he turns out to be legitimate, that would be, in my opinion, a steal.
Right, absolutely. Now on the other side of the ball, Tua, he's looked good. At 300 yards, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches for 143 yards, a touchdown. Waddle, 5 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. Man, this Dolphins offense kind of just tore up the Bears defense.
They did tear up the Bears defense. The Bears defense has been torn up 2 weeks in a row. Those who have watched, obviously not many people follow the Bears, obviously, but they were shredded by the Cowboys as well. Tua, where there was no pass rush, so people need to understand any quarterback in the NFL, if they're not being harassed, they're going to pick you apart, especially with speedsters like Hill and Waddle. And Dolphins have a few other options. They just kind of get overshadowed by the Waddle and Hill show. But Tua was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. That's what he's known for. He's accurate, gets rid of the ball fast. I don't think he was doing a lot of reading because the Bears, if you look at the game, you watch the game, the Bears defensive backs were giving major cushion to Waddle and Hill. You have to respect that speed.
The speed.
You have to. You don't want to have Hill run down the field for an 80-yard touchdown every other play. However, if you watch the game, Tua and the Dolphins were just marching right down the Bears. So,
and my guy Jeff Wilson. My name's Jeff. He looked good. This was his first game with the Dolphins. He rushed 9 times for 51 yards, caught 3 passes for 21 yards and a touchdown. He's going to be a nice, solid running back too for my team. Moving forward, I was surprised to see him this involved in the offense with his first game, with the Dolphins.
But I believe there was a connection between him and the head coach, and he had the familiar system. So that's why I believe he actually scouted him when he was younger, when he was under Shanahan. So he was familiar. The Dolphins head coach is familiar what he can do. Very similar schemes. That's why he was able to fit in very easily. Unlike Claypool, who was limited, but that's a whole different offensive system that Claypool had to get used to.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you coming in and talking about the Bears with me. Good luck this year. They're 3-6, and but they're still in it. They're still in the hunt there for a wild card, maybe, for perhaps.
I don't know, but we'll have to see how the season plays. The most important thing is what does Fields do? How does he progress? I'd rather see him play great. If we get a top 10 pick, I'm okay with that.
All right.
I'm forfeiting the season. So, Papa, hope you're watching. I'm filling in for you today. So next time you better be here.
All right. Well, here's a shot here for the toast. Let's go. All right. Cheers.
Papa.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Next matchup here. The Bengals versus the Panthers. Bengals scored 42 points. The Panthers scored 21. Last time we saw Joe Burrow on Halloween, he just looked lost. He looked lost without his best friend, Jamar Chase. Much like I'm lost without my best friend, Michael Vargas. I'm just, I don't know what to do. This week, the papa. This week, he only threw for 208 yards. 1 touchdown. Is Joe lost? Is Joe Burrow lost without Jamar Chase? I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Joe Mixon rushed for 22 times for 153 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also had 4 catches for 58 yards and another touchdown, giving him a total of 5 total touchdowns.
Hey, tell you what, John. That's a lot of titties right there. That's TDs all day right there. And this is a good old-fashioned ass whooping. You know, when you got the ground and pound working, you just can't go away from it. So those numbers from Joe Burrow, those are really misleading numbers, because I'll tell you what now, you listen here. If Joe Burrow stays in that whole game, they don't take him out after halftime, he's going to put up 400 damn yards. Yeah, he's gonna score 4 touchdowns, but they take him out. Hey, they're whooping their ass. The ground pound's working. When the ground pound works, you don't go away from the ground and pound. And I'll tell you what, I know a thing or two about ground and pounding, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Cowboy Clay. You're always good for a good old commentary there. We'll take another shot here. Just felt good to take a shot there. Let's take another one here. Next matchup here. Raiders versus the Jags. Raiders scored 20 points. Jags scored 27. Raiders were up 17-0. They blew a 17-0 lead over the Jags. First half, the Raiders were looking good. They were on that roller coaster. I'm telling you guys, the Raiders, it's a roller coaster with them. You're going up. You're feeling good. Oh my God, we're looking so good. This is our year. A couple of wins. We're gonna go. Wow! Wow! Oh no! Oh, we suck again. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it's like. Tay Adams and Derek Carr were just crushing it the first half. I think it was like this early in the second quarter. Devontae Adams already had 8 catches, 200 yards, over 100 yards, and I'm like, man, he's on pace to score like freaking 50 fantasy points by the end of the matchup. I was just, he was on fire. And the second half, the Raiders just went away from the run. Or went away from the pass and went to the run to try to protect that 17-0 lead. And they just fell apart. Mostly because their defense, man. Their defense is just not good. That Jonathan Abram guy, I think they just cut that guy. He wore the number 24 like Charles Woodson. I don't think he deserved that number. But anyways, which allowed the defense allowed Travis Etienne rush 28 times for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, that was impressive by that guy. And he's got the backfield all to himself, rushing the ball 28 times. That's a bell cow workload right there. That's what you want in fantasy. As soon as he starts getting catches out of the backfield, if Trevor Lawrence can learn to drop it off, little bounce off passes to Travis Etienne, he's explosive, and he can catch the ball. In college, he was mostly a pass catching running back, and if he could start doing that in fantasy, along with 28 carries, man, then look out, guys. This guy is gonna be a league winner. And for the Raiders, week in and week out, it continues to be a disappointment for the fans. How much longer can you guys deal with these losses like this? I mean, it's heartbreaking. I know I'm a Raider hater, and I freaking hate the Raiders. Believe me, I love it. I love it when the Raiders lose, and I see Drew and Taco are here, and they're all sad. I love it. I'm like Cartman licking the tears. Like, yes, and they're crying because they're losing. I love it, but it's starting to get a little too much, even for me, because you know why? Early in the mornings when we're working out with Drew, me and Drew are working out, that's all I hear is just complaints. Just complaints about the Raiders, how much the Raiders suck this year, how much Josh McDaniels is going to change the play calling, blah, 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 blah. I'm sick of it. You know what, guys? I'm starting to root for the Raiders just so I don't have to hear anymore from Drew. So, come on, Raiders, pull your heads out. Next is going to be our injuries around the NFL. So unfortunately, there was a major injury that's not getting a lot of news here. And I think it's a lot more serious injury than it's being reported.
Josh Allen suffered an ulnar collateral ligament tear in his throwing elbow. Now this, according to some experts, could be season-ending if it requires surgery. But he's decided that he's going to play through this injury. He's just going to deal with the pain. So, could this affect Josh Allen's throwing ability for the rest of the season? We've already heard about Matthew Stafford, who coming into the season admitted to having elbow problems in his throwing arm. And we've seen how shitty that Matthew Stafford's looked. Is this going to be now the downfall of Josh Allen with his arm? I know he can add with his legs, but if you have no throwing capabilities, they're just going to stack the box and stop you from running. So, he's been on fire lately. I admit that, Matt. You have him. You're looking to trade him, but I don't know if his value is kind of taking a little bit of a dip here with this news of this injury. Next up, actually, it was a pretty healthy week. Not many people got injured. Romeo Doubs suffered a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. I know, Vargy, that's your guy. You're all about him. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, so you'll probably just drop him and forget about him for the rest of the year. Matthew Stafford, this one's interesting. Matthew Stafford is in the concussion protocol, sat out practice today, which is Wednesday. And this sounds fishy. I watched the interview with Sean McVay. Everything kind of sounded fishy on that interview. Like, he was like, yeah, he didn't pass concussion protocol. I watched that game. Matthew Stafford did not suffer a concussion during the whole game. He didn't even get hit in his head at all. As a guy who's faked a concussion a time or two, I know when a guy is faking it. And Matthew Stafford, it's just an excuse. I think the Rams are using an excuse to just bench Stafford, give him a week to try to get things going, get things straight, get his head right, because obviously right now his head's not in the right place. So I think this is just an excuse for the Rams to give Matthew Stafford a week off. We're going to start our backup, and we'll probably still win the game against the Cardinals, just because I think Kyler Murray also hurt his hamstring this week, so he might be out. So I think that's the Rams' strategy, to just get Matthew Stafford in the right space. So, enough about the news around the NFL. Let's go to news around our Revolutionary War! Woo! Thank you. Okay, so Drew and Jay. Drew scored 133 points. I scored 112 points. This was Drew's best performance of the year. I was planning to take him out back and just take him out of his misery, but he wasn't ready to die yet. Tay Adams scored 37.6 points, keeping Drew on life support. He went from a 3% chance to a 6% chance to make the playoffs. So there's still a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. That's right, Drew. There's a chance you could still make the playoffs if you went out. So good luck with that. And for me, I'm not worried about my team. I think I have a good team. I'm not worried. Now, John, I've seen your team. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot to be worried about there, son. You got your team here is got Keenan Allen. He can't get healthy. He's just not getting on the field. He's got a hamstring problem. He's been out since week 1. That was your second round pick, for fucking sake, and he's been out since week 1. So what you ain't worried about that? And not to mention Curtis Samuel. You're starting Curtis Samuel this week. Curtis Samuel ain't worth tits on a bar hog. He just. You're telling me you ain't worried about your team? There's a lot to be worried about there, John. Thanks, Clay. Thanks, Clay. Yeah, I can always count on you to say it like it is. And not to mention, you got Taysom Hill. You got Taysom Hill starting on your tight end spot this week. Taysom Hill, he don't know if he's a quarterback. He don't know if he's a running back. He don't know if he's tight end. You got a damn tranny. You got a damn tranny starting in your tight end lineup there. You got freaking you got damn
Caitlyn Jenner starting at your tight end spot. There's a lot to be worried about, John. I'd be a lot worried if I were you. Thanks, Cowboy Clay. I appreciate that. Next matchup here is the BBR game of the week last week was D-Rock versus Juan. D-Rock scored 132 points. Juan only scored 98 points. The 2-inch Punisher is heating up. He's made some very good pickups, if you guys have not noticed. Deontay Foreman, he's picked up Deion Jackson. Without these guys, without these pickups, he would have 2 less wins and he wouldn't be as good a situation he is right now. And they only costed him $1. You guys got to be very aggressive when it comes to the waiver wire this year because D-Rock is on his game when it comes to the waiver wire. He also got 2 stash players low key. He got Kyron Williams from the Rams, who's going to have a major role moving forward for the Rams offense. And he got Nyheim Hines, who's going to be on the Bills, pass catching back on the Bills offense. That's going to be worth some value there. D-Rock, I see you, buddy. You got some good waiver wire claims there. And Juan, your team looks good on paper. Much like the Lakers, they look good on paper, but they just ain't performing. So I think you really gotta, find your mesh. Find the gel with the team, starting them to work together, do some like team building exercises or something. Cause I like your team, dude. I really do like your team. You just gotta perform. Just gotta go out there and perform. Mega and Tay. Mega scored 154 points. Tay only put up 98 points. Tay, you're riding a 5-game winning streak. You're coming in high. You just smashed Vincent like a grape. You just smashed D-Rock like a grape. But coming in this week, Mega's cock size. He just laid it on the table. He displayed his cock size. And it was too much for you to handle. Because you know what? You just did not stand a chance against Mega's cock size, and it's been displayed all year this year. Mega, shout outs to you, bro. Props to you, bro. You're keeping it. You're keeping it up. Let's see how you're tied for first. Let's see if you can keep it up. How long can you keep it up? Let's see. You can be the next Viagra commercial. So another guy who is surprisingly getting stronger and stronger as the weeks go by is Tony. Tony is also tied for first place. Tony scored 145 points. Bill scored 135 points. Tony has Cooper Kupp. It's nice to slot in a guaranteed 25 to 30 points every week in Cooper Kupp. If we redraft, like right now, how high does Cooper Kupp go? Second, first, maybe? Like, he's going to be top 3 for sure. He fell to the back end of the first round. And I think, Tony, you got a very good value there in Cooper Kupp. So, the wide receivers, they could carry you. They'll see how far they carry you. Bill, you got a good team. But, Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill, they tried their best to carry you to victory this week. Just was not enough to get that victory. And, but I mean, Tony, first place, man. Hey, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Hey, Tony T, a little message for you here. Tony T, your team name is Fuck You. That's basically what you've been telling your opponents the last 5 weeks. Because you know what? You're on a 5-game winning streak. And, I mean, that's tough to do. You just say fuck you and you just win all the time. And you're tied for first place with Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Mike Williams, Tyler Lockett. We saw how stacked wide receivers can just carry you to a championship, as Taco did last year. Wide receivers can carry you. So you got the wide receiver core to do dangerous things. And if you get that first round bye, I'm telling you, you better watch out. Better fuck you. Thanks, Cowboy Clay. All right. Next matchup was a heartbreaker. Matt, back-to-back weeks with heartbreakers. Matt, you scored 123. Var, you scored, more specifically, Matt, you scored 123.75. Vargy scored 124.
Vargy barely edged you out by 0.25. Back-to-back weeks of heartbreaking losses for you, Matt. Last week was Tony. You lost by 0.3. If you calculate all 3 of your losses, if you add up all the points that you lost by, it's 7.6. Only 7.6. That's a touchdown. That's a 6-yard touchdown catch. That's the difference of 3 wins of you being undefeated right now, being 9-0 going into week 10. How crazy is that? That's just how crazy fantasy football is. And Vargy, you gotta feel happy about this win because honestly, your team didn't do good. Patrick Mahomes carried your team. Patrick Mahomes saved you with 43.6 points. You had 6 guys who got single-digit points, fantasy points this week. You can't feel good about that. I mean, yeah, it's a win, but I mean, moving forward, how are you going to trust guys scoring single-digit fantasy points, especially Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He is losing his reps. He barely saw the field, got like 1 point for your running back 2 slot. So you got to figure it out before it gets too late. And next up, matchup is our alpha of the week. Vincent, I know you're in Jerusalem right now, but you're the alpha of the week. Vincent is in Jerusalem for 10 days in a row. But you know what? He's feeling good because he beat Taco. He beat Taco 162 to 113. And he made a ballsy moves. He made a couple ballsy moves this week. He started Tua over Kendrick Lamar Jackson. Tua scored 35.1 points for him. Kendrick Lamar would only scored 20.8. Lamar's been looking kind of like, he started off really hot. Not gonna lie, the first 3 weeks, it was like 38, 52, 50. Like he was looking like he was gonna score like a ridiculous amount of points through week 3. And then in week 4, it was like 11. Week 5 was like 16, and it just kind of like mellowed out because defenses started keying on his running abilities. So he hasn't rushed for over 100 yards since week 3 because defenses are adjusting. Like Mike said earlier, they're adjusting to that offense. So I mean, Lamar Jackson, the best of his days may be behind him. And I know, Vincent, you're making like some ballsy moves when it comes to your fab. So you spent $95. $95 on your guy Kenny Walker. But you know what? He's been paying off. He's been paying off for you because he scored 29. Hold on. Let's see. Kenny Walker scored, I think it was like 29.4 points for you this week. But you're out of money. You have literally $0 from now until the end of time, the end of the season. So if you need a kicker next week, because your kicker's on a bye, you're out of luck. Because guess what? You're out of money. Speaking of adding players, adding kickers, our waiver wire. This week, our highest spender was Drew. Drew spent $21 on Justin Fields. We just heard Mike talk about how great Justin Fields is. Justin Fields may be Drew's championship run. I mean, it's got to be an epic championship run. He's got to win out. A lot of things got to happen for Drew to make the championship. But if he could do it, Justin Fields, if he can keep it up, he's been the quarterback 1 since for the last 3 weeks. So we'll see. The other thing here, Vargy, you added Mecole Hardman again. Mecole Hardman. This is your 3rd time adding and dropping Mecole Hardman. You're like that couple that just breaks up to get back together. You're like Rachel and Ross from Friends, or like Ronnie and Sam from Jersey Shore. Ron, stop. Ron, stop! That's you right now, Vargy, with Miko Hardman. You're just like a toxic relationship. Just break it off, Vargy. Just give it up. It's never going to work out. You're going to drop him next week, and he's going to go off, and you're going to pick him back up again. So just stop. Just, Vargy, stop. Vargy, stop. Okay. Next is our Week 10 look ahead. Cheers. Matt versus Drew. There's only 4 weeks left. Matt versus Drew is our brotherly matchup. Josh Allen might be out this week. Josh Allen, he has a messed up elbow. Ulnar, whatever it was, ligament. You don't have a backup, Matt. Deshaun Watson, he's not going to be back till week 13. What are you going to do? You're going to drop somebody? Drop him. And you got to find a bench slot. I don't know. It's going to be tough if Josh Allen can be out. Drew, that you may be playing spoiler this week. Next matchup, Vincent versus Jay. Again, another significant slot spaces where we don't have ability to make moves for free agencies. So Vincent, he has no more money left in his budget, and he has a kicker out this week. And so he's going to be starting a kicker that's on a bye this week. So he's going to get a 0 in that slot. And you're in Jerusalem, brother. You're my brother-in-law. I love you. But I hope I win this week and you come back to America and you open up your app, your ESPN app, and you see, oh man, chicks with dicks just killed me this week. So I hope that happens this week. So just travel safe, brother. BBR Game of the Week. D-Rock versus Mega. It's a 2-inch Punisher versus the cock size. Let's see if the 2-inch Punisher can get on fire. He's been heating up. He's been heating up. Let's see if he could just keep it going. The 2-inch Punisher just... It's not the size that matters. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. Let's do it, D-Rock. You versus Mega. You can do it. Come on. I got you. D-Rock. I got a shot. If you win, Vargy take a shot. If he comes back next week, so I don't know if he's where he's going to go next week. Maybe he's going to like a John's Incredible Pizza or some shit next week with a freaking date. But if he comes back next week, if Mega wins, I'll take a shot. If D-Rock wins, he takes a shot. Alright. Speaking of shots, we had our Collier shot last week was... Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired. It was Romeo Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs was projected to have 10.7 fantasy points. Unfortunately, he hurt himself with a high ankle sprain. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He's done for the season. So the under hit, I had the over. Vargy had the under. Vargy, I know you're not even watching this. Nobody is watching this. Cheers. This week's Call Your Shot is Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman projected at 10.3 points. And the last 4 weeks, he's had 12 points or more. He's had 9 targets his last matchup with 6 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown last week. 5 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks. This guy's on fire. Is he going to keep it up going into this week? I mean, I don't think he is. I mean, I think Kadarius Toney is going to get a little more action. I think Kadarius Toney is going to take over the Mecole Hardman role, where it's kind of like, the jet sweep, the quick screens, the all that kind of Mecole Hardman stuff. They gave up a lot to get Kadarius Toney. They're going to use him with another week of practice. Kadarius Toney is going to be a lot more involved in that offense. So I think Mecole Hardman's usage is going to go down. Kadarius Toney is going to go up. Kadarius Toney is my guy. All right, so final thoughts. Cowboy Clay, let's hear it. Final thoughts. Vargy, I hope you have fun at Chuck E. Cheese's or Boomers or wherever the hell you have your date tonight. And